All right, everybody, welcome in. We're diving into a world today of some serious money, huge tech, and, well, frankly, some pretty interesting business deals.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride.
We're talking Microsoft, OpenAI, ChatGPT, that whole AI wave that we just can't seem to escape these days.
And it's really not even just about the tech when you get down to it. It's
Yeah.
more about how these two totally different organizations, like
Mhm.
you have a tech giant on one hand and then this sort of nonprofit on the other, how they even end up in this weird power struggle.
That's what we're here to unpack, right?
Exactly.
We're going to dig into this New York Magazine article called Microsoft Has an OpenAI Problem. And believe me, this is a page turner compared to your average tech news.
Way juicier for sure.
So we've got OpenAI, right? And their journey, it's not exactly been a straight line. They start out with this big, lofty goal, benefiting humanity. Anyone remember those days?
They really played that up early on.
But then, bam, they switch it up to this capped profit model. So they're still technically under this nonprofit umbrella, but with every intention of eventually going totally for profit. Help me out here a little bit, expert, because
Yeah.
capped profit, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, so think of it like it's like a hybrid car.
Yeah.
Okay, you can switch back and forth between gas and electric power. That's capped profit in a nutshell. OpenAI can still take investments, they can still generate profit, but there's a limit on how much those investors can actually earn back.
Interesting. So they're saying, hey, we'll let you profit off our success, but only to a certain point. After that, it all goes back to the mission.
Exactly. It's a clever way to attract those big investors while still holding on to that for the greater good image,
So it's a bit of a balancing act, playing both sides.
right? And here's where it gets even more interesting. This whole structure, this ability to shift back and forth between nonprofit and for-profit, it's let OpenAI play the funding game really to their advantage. They need massive resources to develop this cutting-edge AI, right? So by starting as a nonprofit, they gain credibility and initial funding from people who might have been a little bit wary of a purely profit-driven AI company.
That makes sense.
But by keeping that door open to eventually becoming for-profit, they could then turn around and attract billions from investors like
Oh,
Microsoft.
okay, so strategic masterclass.
I should say that.
But where does Microsoft actually fit into all of this? We're talking about a company that is used to calling the shots.
And that is where the problem part of this article really comes in.
Oh, boy.
Microsoft comes in with a monstrous $14 billion investment. Think about that $14 billion. Because they want in on this AI gold rush. OpenAI gets the resources it desperately needs, and Microsoft sees potentially massive returns. It's a match made in tech heaven.
Right. At least at first glance. So, like every power couple, though. Are we thinking maybe behind the scenes things aren't quite as rosy as they seem?
Well, you see, the thing is, as OpenAI becomes more successful, they're also becoming more, well, independent.
Yeah.
They're really pushing for commercialization, creating these products like ChatGPT that go head-to-head with some of what Microsoft's offering. Imagine the tension there. Microsoft pours billions into OpenAI, but they might be starting to realize they have less control than they thought.
And it's not like Microsoft's completely oblivious to this, right? That whole Sam Altman firing fiasco really brought this tension out into the open. The New York Times even reported that Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, was pretty blindsided by the whole thing.
Yeah, and remember, at this point, Microsoft was deeply integrated with OpenAI. They weren't just an investor. They were a crucial partner. They were providing computing power infrastructure on top of the money.
Yeah.
So when that OpenAI board decided to fire Altman Nadella, was understandably a little concerned. It kind of threw a wrench into the whole thing.
Through a wrench is an understatement, I think.
And then to make it even more dramatic, the board brings Altman back just a few days later, which just shows how crucial he was.
It's like a corporate thriller or something.
Totally.
Mm.
And speaking of plot twists, can we talk about this AGI clause?
Oh, yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
It's some real sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
So you have this clause in their contract, and it basically says that if OpenAI manages to achieve artificial general intelligence, like the type of AI that's as smart as a human being, maybe even smarter.
Great. I'm already a little scared.
If OpenAI gets to AGI, Microsoft's access to their technology gets cut off, like completely done.
Hold on, they're giving these guys billions of dollars, potentially helping them build this crazy powerful AI, and then they risk being completely shut out. Why would they even agree to that?
$1 million question, right? The article we're looking at actually throws out a couple of possibilities. One theory is that maybe, just maybe, Microsoft didn't really fully grasp the implications of what AGI could become, didn't really believe it was a near-term possibility. They underestimated what OpenAI could really do.
So like AGI. Yeah, that's like decades away. We'll deal with it then.
It's possible. The other theory is that they put too much faith in OpenAI's original nonprofit board,
Yeah.
believing that that board would prioritize ethical development and kind of prevent this all-out race towards AGI. But as we were talking about earlier, that board has changed quite a bit,
Right.
and the new players might be more aligned with Altman's vision, which who knows what that fully entails.
That's true. And to complicate things even more, how do you even define AGI? I mean, what even counts as human-level intelligence in a machine? It's not like there's a standardized test we can just give it.
It's such a blurry line. ChatGPT, for example, can write poems and code and translate languages,
Yeah.
but it's still considered narrow AI. It's really good at specific tasks. AGI, on the other hand, would be like having a machine that can learn and solve any problem a human can now, adapt to totally new situations,
Yeah.
maybe even have consciousness. Who knows?
It's like we're trying to hit a moving target in the dark with all this.
Yeah, and it all circles back to that AGI clause, right?
Yeah.
It might not even really be about some Hollywood robot takeover scenario.
No killer robots.
Probably not. What we're really talking about is something a lot more nuanced. It's the potential for these misaligned incentives.
Okay, so less Terminator, more like that awkward office Christmas party where no one's quite sure who's calling the shots anymore.
Pretty much. Think about it. You've got Microsoft, this massive corporation. They're pouring billions into AI research and development. They want to see a return on that investment, which makes sense.
Of course.
But then you've got OpenAI. They're driven by this big, ambitious vision, maybe even a world-changing one. What happens when those two things start to drift apart? When OpenAI's push for progress, their pursuit of AGI bumps up against Microsoft's more practical desire for a marketable product.
It's like those couples we all know who decide to go into business together. Seems like a great idea at first, but then...
Exactly. And the thing is, this isn't just hypothetical. This is playing out right now in real time with Microsoft and OpenAI. That AGI claws the drama with the board Altman and his ambitions. It all points back to this tension over power and control. Who ultimately gets to shape the future of AI?
And we can't forget, this isn't just about two companies either. There are much bigger implications here. Imagine the impact of some super powerful AI being developed with only profits in mind, without any thought to the ethical side of things or the potential consequences for humanity.
It's true. This whole Microsoft OpenAI saga, it's a bit of a cautionary tale.
Right.
It reminds us that AI development isn't just about algorithms and data sets. It's about people, their motivations, and this potential for both incredible progress and some seriously unintended consequences.
It really makes you think. So as we wrap up here, what are your final thoughts on all of this?
Honestly, I think this is a story that's still being written. Will OpenAI actually achieve its AGI goals, even if it means splitting from Microsoft? Will Microsoft find a way to hang on and steer this powerful technology in a direction that benefits them? Or are we going to see something completely unexpected happen? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
It's a story worth following, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
to everyone listening, what do you think? How do you see all of this playing out? We'd love to hear your take on it. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us. And keep those brains buzzing because the future of AI is coming ready or not.